Yet another case of the copper bulb blocks enabling a massive improvement in an already highly optimized system is this precision box loader that I have shown in the past. For those who don't know or haven't seen this thing is basically optimized to the minimum amount of hoppers, and all of them that can be are locked. And it also doesn't have any droppers additionally in the piping. It only activates this dispenser here to get the boxes out. So it's basically as optimized as it gets. It's obviously one-wide tileable. It is 100% reliable because it's a precision box loader, which I'll show you some in a short time. And obviously it got a bit better. So what exactly changed? Mainly this connection here and this one. So let's go with this one. When I have done some of the lag testing videos, I have realized that droppers, by just existing around, cause basically no lag. So that means we can simply use them in such a configuration to make this one block less wide. Previously, there was a double door, 2-block high door that transferred the signal upwards. And of course now we don't have a piston here. It also causes massive amounts of lag, far more than even redstone does. And here at the bottom we saved one piston, but it was a much more dramatic change, because saving the piston also meant I could replace it with one observer, and I will get to that later why that's so important, but it made the whole thing much easier to work with if you want to convert it to other variants. I obviously also use these shroom light blocks to prevent light updates. That's why I'm using the most oxidized versions of the copper bulbs, because they emit the least amount of light, so they're the easiest to deal with. Since light updates are still a major issue, even though there have been some optimizations done by Mojang. So let me show you first that it actually works. By freezing time. Adding the missing items. They would normally flow through this filter. Let's take step 10. Let's go one by one. And this was the crucial moment. The box got broken in the same game tick as the hopper got unlocked. That way there was no chance for the box to go anywhere else, since it had effectively 0 time to travel, and if you have 0 time to travel and only a finite amount of speed, you don't move anywhere. Not to mention that the box is also within the radius of the hopper collecting items, or not area, because it's more like a rectangle. So it immediately got taken out. And a really nice feature of this is the boxes aren't even getting stuck in this hopper, which happens in some box loaders, and immediately got put into the output pipe. And of course the box gets replaced. I think the more interesting ones are the variants of this, because there we can see the big change this optimization caused. So this one is filterless. It's still one block smaller, which is rather nice. I didn't add a light source here, but you can add one depending if you want to have ice here above or whatever. This one also didn't change much, it just got slightly smaller. And you can see this is a little nicer placed because the filter isn't in the way. It has to be in this very particular placement, because if I would move the bulb here, it would get triggered by this, or if I would even move it to here, it would also get triggered. So here it's a little nicer. This is the other variant that improved. Now we can far more comfortably loop the signal through the bottom and have a water stream output. These are still global outputs. That means you have one pipe that the full boxes are coming out of. Obviously you can take this and put it here. You can mix and match your favorite flavor of box loader. This thing also came with a little bit of a downside that I didn't mention. You need to use a full redstone block here. You can't just put a lever on the side and trigger it that way, because you would keep the dropper activated. That's why I also have this placed like this. It doesn't work when you have just one slice. And you should never even consider building one-way tileable things if you are building just a single piece of these. That's just comically inefficient and frankly ridiculous. This is the one that improved the most, I think. Previously I have shown you a version of this which had redstone dust going over the top. However, that is no longer necessary, because now, since we saved the piston there, we can have a layout like this here. Previously you would somehow need to squeeze a piston here and all of these spots would get activated, so the piston had to be somewhere way back here. Now that's no longer needed, so we can actually do the full loop. That's also made simpler by having this shorter, and also this not having needing a piston here, out of just powered rails, which significantly reduces the lag and makes people less scared of it. And it also makes it slightly more compact, because now you don't need to have an extension here with another redstone block that keeps the redstone dust powered. And it looks a little less horrifying. But once you understand this technology, this isn't really any problem, even if it was redstone dust in terms of lag, since it activates only once every 1728 items. That's so minuscule, it doesn't even matter. And the reason why this is so useful is because you can now put this on top of your storage systems, like your bulk storages and whatnot. Like continue this further down, or use double chests, which will be even better. And thereby you actually get to use this property of it having slice preservation, which means that the boxes not only get collected 100% of the time, they also stay in the same slice 100% of the time. So they don't, if I had another system here with another filter, in some designs there's a small chance the boxes would end up in this, which you obviously don't want. That's generally not a huge issue with boxes unless you have massive farms. And this is another variant I built up here. It has been a problem of some of the more die-hard storage tech enthusiasts, let's call them that way, which gives them way too much credit, of this hopper being difficult to lock. Generally speaking, you should unload machines that aren't running. So this isn't really a problem because it has to be unlocked all the time when it's running to be able to process the items. But some people had an issue with that and really wanted something that would be lockable. Well, this is the solution. You simply put redstone dust here and you power it from above. However, this has its downsides. Mainly because you now have this dropper above a hopper. And for those of you who know how hoppers handle things, they constantly check this entire container when they are unlocked for changes. It's slightly better when it's filled, but it's still not great. So this slightly increases the lag when it's running. This may or may not be worth to you. I generally don't think so. But on this design I also showed how you can modify this to use ice streams, because in 1.13 and above you actually don't need ice streams because the items get fast enough to bridge one block gap even if they are moving on top of hoppers. There is also another part of this layout. This is the bottom. So instead of doing this loop around the top, you can actually do something like this. This observer is this way and this one is this way. And you add another 2 droppers here, which, yeah, it still adds dropper activations, but they are still really rare. And these ones even get activated 2 times every time this triggers. This one is obviously only once. So these ones can even act as storage, but of course once the thing clogs up until here, this is the same thing for... Well, actually, if you would, for example, put a dropper below this and use a double chest, it would happen that you could fill it up and then the boxes wouldn't get cleared out of this dropper. Except, well, it still gets powered, because when on the secondary activation this also gets powered. So yeah, all of them, thanks to this, well, I would say it's almost lucky layout, all of them get powered twice. So this even adds additional storage space. And you can even put a double chest below this, unlike the previous design. I've seen some people think that this doesn't work. And it does pretty nicely. Don't worry about that. You can see I removed one of the pieces of redstone. And now if I put an unlocked hopper below it, still gets put there. So you can actually use the full efficiency with this. Unlike with this one, because if you put a dropper below, it would only get powered once, and like I said, it could then clog up if you wanted to use double chests. And it also generally looks a lot nicer. I also wanted to touch on something that I activated here. With this design, it's a little trickier, but with these ones, it's really easy. All you need to do to convert this from a box filler or loader into just a filter that just sends the items through is you need to just deactivate this lamp. Then the items will simply flow through, like if this whole mechanism wasn't be here. Which can be really useful if you want to have some kind of storage where you want to have parts of it filled with items and parts of it with full boxes. You can build this up, deactivate the slices that, for example, you don't have a farm yet for. For example, you don't have, I don't know, thousands of sugarcane, for example, because you haven't built a sugarcane farm. So you don't have full boxes of it. When you still want to access it in your storage, you can simply turn off the slides for sugarcane and let the items flow through. And once you have a farm for it, you can then activate it again, which also nicely emits light, which makes it a lot more convenient to find. And then you will start filling up the boxes. And you will still, of course, have some sugarcane left. So this is also a really nice layout of these things for, obviously all of these can do it, even this one, for storage systems that you build even early on. Of course, these things are a bit expensive, but for example, the quartz for observers got way cheaper since pickling bartering became easier due to the auto crafters. And that's one thing I will cover in future videos. I think for now I have mostly covered the main changes in storage tank done by these copper bulbs, mainly when it comes to these box loaders, the really compact ones. But in future videos I will show you more stuff with the crafters and how to convert box loaders into compactors, which is basically a term for an auto crafter that just converts, for example, gold nuggets into gold ingots, or later into gold blocks, or same with redstone dust and so on. So yeah, you can be excited for that. And I also need to mention, I didn't realize that and made this last video, you can actually use powder snow instead of the cobwebs to make items stay in the same block when being fired by observers. I simply forgot about it when I made the multi-item sorter video, and it also reduces the issue of having to wait a long time for it to spin up. So yeah, that was a little treat for those of you who stayed here with me for the end of the video. Please like, share, subscribe, tell people about it. Please don't hate me for it, but I'm sure you will, as most of the storage tech community already hates me for the original design of this. And yeah, I hope you have a nice day. Bye.